The demand across the stars, the sky over New London, turned red dot at first. People thought it was a strange sunset. Then the red glow began to twist, forming shapes, symbols, and finally words massive, burning letters that filled the night. Surrender. Humans. O.R. be erased from the stars. The same message appeared over every human colony, every space station, every mining outpost. It blazed across the skies of Mars, shimmered in the clouds above Titan, and even played on the data screens of deep space freighters. It was not a message from nature. It was a threat from the most powerful force in the galaxy. The Galactic Empire. For 100 years, the Empire had ruled the stars. Planets that resisted were crushed, and species that fought back were erased from history. Humanity had only been part of the galactic stage for 20 years, and already they had drawn too much attention. In the War Command Hall of Earth's flagship Resolute, Admiral Kane stood before the giant holotable. Dozens of officers watched in silence as the demand repeated itself, glowing in crimson across their screens. "Play it again," Kane ordered. A trembling technician replayed the transmission. This time, the image of a tall alien figure appeared. The alien's skin was pale silver, his eyes burning like molten metal. He wore the Empire's crest on his chest, a serpent coiled around a star. "I speak for Emperor Vulcarian." The alien's voice boomed. "You are a dangerous and unstable species. You have defied our patrols. You have destroyed our ships. You will now surrender your fleets, your weapons, and your colonies to Imperial control, or face annihilation." The officers looked to Kane, expecting fear, anger, something. But Kane's lips curled into the smallest of smiles. The alien's voice continued. "You have 24 hours to respond. Choose survival or choose extinction." The transmission ended. The room was silent. Finally, Captain Myra Dax stepped forward. "Admiral, what are your orders?" Kane's smile grew. "Open a channel to all human fleets," he said. "A communications." Officer tapped controls, linking every human warship, transport, and civilian station. Across the Sol system and beyond, crews stopped what they were doing to listen. Kane's voice came through, calm and steady. "You've all seen the message. You've heard their threat. The Galactic Empire believes we will kneel." He paused, letting the tension build. "They think fear will win. They think history will repeat itself." He leaned forward over the holotable. "But they don't understand one thing. We are not afraid of them. We have never been afraid of tyrants." Then, without warning, Kane laughed. A deep, bold laugh that echoed through the COMMS. And outposts on the moons of Jupiter. Crews began to chuckle. In the colonies on Proxima b, miners joined in. On warships orbiting Earth, gunners laughed so hard they had to lean on their consoles. It started as a ripple of sound. Within minutes, the laughter became a roar. Thousands of human voices mocking the most feared empire in the galaxy. Back in the command hall, Captain Dax grinned. "Sir, are we really sending them laughter as our answer?" "Yes," Kane replied. "Send it on every channel, in every frequency. Let the whole galaxy hear it." The technicians worked quickly, transmitting the sound of humanity's defiance. The laughter poured into Imperial networks, filling their communication lines with mockery. Across the galaxy, alien races listening to the broadcast could hardly believe no species had ever dared laugh at the Empire. Hours later, aboard the Empire's flagship Vanguard of Eternity, the alien commander who delivered the ultimatum slammed his clawed hand onto the control console. "Are they insane?" he shouted. "They mock the Emperor himself?" His second-in-command swallowed nervously. "Shall we begin the purge?" The commander's silver eyes narrowed. "No. First, we will show them what happens to those who disrespect the Empire. Prepare the fleet." Back aboard the Resolute, Kane turned to his officers. The moment they move, we move. I want all ships on full alert. Phase 2 of Operation Iron Echo begins now. Dax frowned. Sir, you think they'll attack first? They have no choice, Kane replied. We've just shown them we're not afraid, and tyrants cannot stand defiance. When they come, they'll come with everything they have. And you? Dax asked. Kane's eyes hardened. We'll be ready. And when this is over, the galaxy will know what it means to threaten humanity. The war room lights dimmed as the fleet's battle readiness alert sounded. Somewhere in the dark expanse of space, the Empire's armada was already turning toward Sol. The clock was ticking, and humanity was smiling. The laugh heard around the galaxy, the laughter didn't stay in human space for long. In less than an hour, the sound had crossed every major communication network. It poured through trading channels, military frequencies, even entertainment broadcasts. It wasn't just noise. It was mockery. Clear, confident, and impossible to ignore. On the colony world of Sirix 4, a reptilian dockworker froze in place. As the broadcast echoed across the port, "That's human laughter?" he whispered to a coworker. The coworker, a feathered merchant from the Avorian species, stared at the speakers in disbelief. Do they not understand? You don't laugh. At the Empire. In the War Council chambers of the Empire's core world, Emperor Valkarian sat in silence, his burning golden eyes fixed on the projection of the broadcast. The laughter seemed endless, like a tide that would not retreat. What is this? The Emperor asked, his voice quiet but dangerous. The alien commander who had delivered the ultimatum knelt before him. My Emperor, it is their official response. No words, only laughter. The Emperor's claws curled around the arm of his throne. And they sent this to the entire galaxy? Yes, my Emperor. Every frequency. The chamber was silent, except for the faint echo of the recording. It was then that Valkarian's lips drew into something between a snarl and a smile. Good, he said softly. Let them laugh. It will make their screams more satisfying. Back on the Resolute, Admiral Kane studied the fleet map. Red icons marked imperial movements on the galaxy's edge. Already, large clusters were forming. They're gathering forces, Captain Dax said, scanning the readings. Looks like 30, maybe 40 capital ships and hundreds of escorts. Kane didn't flinch. Let them gather. The bigger they come, the harder they'll fall. The crew could feel it in the air, a strange mix of tension and excitement. No one knew if they would survive the coming storm, but the idea of facing the Empire without bowing gave them a strange kind of strength. A sudden transmission alert chimed. It wasn't the Empire this time. It was an encrypted signal from the independent planet Kaltorin. The alien leader appeared on the holoscreen, his green, scaled face lit by the flicker of a dying star behind him. Admiral Kane, he said, I have never seen anyone do what you just did. The Empire has crushed my people for centuries. If you fight them, we will fight beside you. Kane gave a small nod. Then tell your ships to prepare. This fight isn't just for Earth. It's for every world the Empire has ever enslaved. The alien leader smiled for the first time in years. Then may the galaxy hear our laughter next. As more and more fringe worlds picked up the broadcast, strange things began to happen. Rebel groups reignited old uprisings. Imperial patrols were ambushed by ships they thought were loyal. It was no longer just humanity's defiance. It was a spark that was setting the galaxy on fire. In the Empire's high command, panic began to show. Reports came in of colonies refusing to send tribute, fleets refusing to obey orders. The alien commander slammed his fist on the table. They've turned our fear into a weapon. If we don't destroy them soon, others will follow. The Emperor's reply was cold and final. Then we will destroy them so completely that their sun will burn alone in a silent sky. On the bridge of the Resolute, Kane gave one last order before the next phase of the plan. Transmit this, he told Dax. A single message alongside the laughter. 4 words. The crew sent it, and moments later, the entire galaxy received. A simple text flashing over the sound of human voices. Come and try us. Far away, in the void beyond human territory, the Empire's vast war fleet changed course. Their engines lit up the darkness like a wall of fire. The invasion had begun, and humanity was still laughing. Asterisk. The Empire strikes first. The first sign of the Empire's attack was not ships, but silence. For 3 hours, every Imperial channel went dark. No patrol chatter, no border scans, no merchant traffic. The void between stars was as quiet as a grave dot then. Without warning, the silence shattered. Dozens of wormhole gates flared to life on the edge of the Sol system, spitting out warships the size of cities. The Imperial First Armada had arrived. From the bridge of the Resolute, Admiral Kane watched the enemy ships fan out like a black tide. Massive dreadnoughts took the lead, their hulls covered in glowing red glyphs. Smaller destroyers and fighters swarmed around them like predators before the kill. They came in heavier than expected. Captain Dax muttered, scanning the fleet numbers. That's over 200 warships. Kane's expression didn't change. Then they've brought enough for us to make history. The Empire didn't waste time. The lead dreadnought fired a planet-killer lance, a burning beam of energy, meant to pierce Earth's orbital defense grid. The beam slammed into the shield surrounding the moon base at Tycho Crater. For a moment, the shields flared bright white, and held. On the moon's surface, Commander Ishan Reddy grinned. "Tell the Admiral the toys work," he said, powering up the new human-built graviton mirror array defense system reverse-engineered from stolen. Imperial tech. The next blast from the dreadnought was reflected straight back at them. The Empire's flagship took the hit to its forward armor, sending shockwaves through its hull. On the Resolute, shears broke out across the bridge. Kane didn't smile. He only gave the next order. All railgun batteries fire. In deep space, the human fleet unleashed their answer. Hypersonic slugs the size of buses tore through the void, smashing into the Imperial front line. One destroyer vanished in a flash, its reactor splitting open like an egg. Lieutenant Arya Chun, piloting the Vigilant Spear, dove between 2 Imperial frigates, her ship's thrusters screaming. She lined up her shot, and a single railgun round punched clean through the first frigate and crippled the second. Her cone lit up with static and laughter from other pilots. "That's one way to say hello," a voice crackled, but the Empire was not unprepared. Wave after wave of fighters swarmed the human ships, their formations perfect, their weapons relentless. One human frigate exploded in a burst of blue fire, scattering debris into the black. Kane's eyes hardened. "We hold this line, no retreat. If they want Sol, they'll have to take it piece by piece." On the front lines, the Imperial commander sent a private message to the Emperor. "They are not breaking, my lord. If anything, they're laughing harder." Then came the moment that no one on either side expected. From behind Jupiter's shadow, massive human ships emerged bigger than any the Empire had ever seen. Each one was shaped like a spearhead, its armor black as the void, its weapons glowing with the blue light of experimental plasma. The fleet AI identified them as Project Thunderchild rumored ghost ships that the Empire thought were only a human bluff. They were real, and they were angry. The lead Thunderchild warship opened fire with a Nova Lance, slicing an Imperial dreadnought clean in half. The wreck drifted apart, spilling fire and air into space. For the first time in centuries, the Empire's First Armada faltered in the Empire's command channel. The alien commander hissed. They have weapons we've never seen? This changes. Nothing. Keep pressing. But on the bridge of the Resolute, Kane leaned forward, his voice low but clear. This is just the beginning. Asterisk, the turning point. The battle had raged for hours, and space around the Sol system was no longer black yet. Earned with the light of wreckage, Imperial warships floated in pieces, their twisted hulls tumbling silently. Human ships, though battered, still held the line. On the bridge of the Resolute, Admiral Kane studied the enemy's formation. They've shifted their dreadnoughts to cover the flanks, he said. They're hiding something in the center. Captain. Dax narrowed her eyes. A super weapon? Kane didn't answer. He was already giving orders. Signal Thunderchild Command. Tell them it's time. From the far edge of the battlefield, where the Empire thought space was empty, 20 hidden human ships uncloaked. They weren't warships, at least, not in the traditional sense. These were interceptor arcs, long, slender vessels designed for one purpose, to get inside an enemy fleet and tear it apart from the inside. Each arc carried experimental grav blade torpedoes, weapons that didn't explode, but folded space around their target, slicing ships apart without a sound. The arcs moved like shadows, slipping through the chaos of battle until they were deep inside the Imperial formation. Then they struck. One torpedo cut an Imperial carrier clean in two, its halves drifting apart as fighters spilled into the void, powerless. Another ripped the core out of a battleship, leaving it spinning like a dead star. On Imperial comms, chaos erupted. Officers shouted over each other, unsure where the attacks were coming from. From the throne room on the Empire's core world, Emperor Valkarian watched the feed in disbelief. They built weapons that bend space itself. And we didn't see it coming? The commander at his side swallowed. My Emperor. If they've had this for years, then they've been planning this war longer than we thought, Valkarian. Finished. His claws tightened around the arm of his throne. Back at the Sol front, Kane's voice cut through the noise. All fleets push forward. Drive them back to the gate. The human warships surged ahead, railguns, plasma lances, and EMP storms tearing into the retreating Imperial lines. For the first time in centuries, the First Armada, an undefeated force, was falling back. In the middle of the fight, Lieutenant Arya Chun's vigilant spear locked onto an Imperial dreadnought that was trying to cover the retreat. Her targeting system lit up red. Let's give them something to remember, she muttered, firing a pair of grav blade torpedoes. The dreadnought didn't explode, it simply came apart, its pieces drifting away like dust on the wind. On human channels, pilots and captains cheered. Across the galaxy, those watching the battle's live feed began to whisper the same thing. The Empire can be beaten. But Kane wasn't celebrating yet. He knew the Empire would not take this loss quietly. They'll pull back to regroup, he told Dax, and when they return, it will be with their full might. We've won the battle, now we have to win the war. And in the distance, beyond the farthest sensor readings, the Empire's surviving ships vanished into a wormhole, leaving behind nothing but silence and the smell of burning metal. Asterisk, the war spreads news of the battle, spread faster than any ship could fly. By the time the last Imperial wreck drifted into the black, 100 alien worlds already knew the truth. The First Armada had been defeated. No one had done that in living memory. No one had dared. On the desert moon of Vikron, where the Empire had ruled for 5 centuries, miners gathered around a single cum tower, listening to the replay of human laughter. When the broadcast ended, they didn't speak. They just began smashing the Imperial banners that hung from their tunnels. In the water cities of Talven, Imperial patrol boats were burned in the harbors as crowds chanted in languages older than the Empire itself. And on the icy station of Core 7, where the Empire's taxes had starved entire families. A small group of rebels sent a message directly to Earth. "We are ready. Tell us where to strike." On the Resolute, Admiral Kane stood before the galaxy map. New green lights blinked into existence every hour. Planets, moons, and stations declaring themselves part of the alliance of the free stars. "They're answering the call," Captain Dax said, scanning the growing network. Kane nodded. "And the Empire will answer too with fire." That fire came quickly. In retaliation, the Empire's fleets began attacking any world that dared to resist. Cities were bombarded from orbit. Oceans boiled. Forests burned. Millions died in a single week. It was a message. "Defy us, and we will erase you." But instead of breaking the rebels, the destruction only fueled them. Lieutenant Arya Chun found herself far from Sol, flying escort for a relief convoy to the shattered moon of Valerian. The Empire had turned its capital into glass, but survivors still clung to the ruins. As the convoy descended, Imperial raiders appeared, intent on finishing the job. Arya's squadron intercepted them, tearing through their formation with precision strikes. When the last raider exploded, the surviving Valerian citizens sent a simple transmission to the humans: "We will fight. Teach us how." The rebellion grew faster than the Empire could contain it. Smugglers became blockade runners. Farmers became sharpshooters. Old freighters were turned into warships, bristling with stolen Imperial guns. The galaxy was starting to see what Kane already knew. Humans didn't just fight for themselves. They fought for everyone who couldn't in the Imperial throne room. Emperor Valkarian's fury burned like a star. "They spread like a virus," he hissed. "One victory, and the galaxy believes they can win." An advisor spoke carefully. "Perhaps we should offer them terms nitrogen monoxide." Valkarian roared, his voice shaking the walls. "We will not offer peace. We will end them." He turned to his war council. "Summon the Crimson Fleet. Prepare the Emperor's dreadnought. I will crush Earth myself." Back aboard the Resolute, Kane received the intelligence report. The Crimson Fleet had not been seen in over 100 years. Its ships were legends, massive, unstoppable, and commanded directly by the Emperor. Captain Dax looked at him. "If this is true, they're bringing their god-killer ships." Kane's expression was like steel. "Then we make the gods bleed." Asterisk. The fall of the Emperor's fleet. The Crimson Fleet arrived without warning. One moment, space was empty beyond the asteroid belt. The next, it burned red gate after gate, vomiting forth ships the size of cities. Their armor shimmered with a crimson sheen that drank in starlight. At the center of it all was the Emperor's dreadnought, the Hand of Eternity. It was said to be older than the Empire itself, a relic from a war so ancient it had been erased from records. Its hull alone could crush a human carrier, and its main cannon could split moons. On the bridge of the Resolute, Admiral Kane studied the tactical display. The red icons of the Crimson Fleet dwarfed the human forces by sheer mass. Captain Dax's voice was tense. "Sir, if they get within range of Earth, we can't stop them." Kane didn't look away from the display. "We're not going to wait for them to get within range. We're taking the fight to them." The order went out. The combined fleets of the Alliance of the Free Stars, humans, rebels, defectors, and free worlds formed up in a crescent formation. At Kane's signal, they surged forward, engines flaring against the void. The first clash was brutal. Imperial Crimson destroyers cut through the Alliance flanks with precision fire, scattering smaller ships like leaves in a storm. Human railguns answered, punching through crimson armor, but every victory came at a cost. Then the Hand of Eternity fired. A beam of blinding red energy lanced across the void, slicing straight through a rebel carrier and punching a hole in the moon of Ceres. The shockwave tore through nearby ships, sending them spinning into debris fields. On the Resolute, alarm screamed. Kane's voice cut through the chaos. Target their command shield generators. I want that cannon offline. Lieutenant Arya Chun and her squadron dove through the melee, weaving between Imperial fighters. She pushed her ship's engines to the limit, skimming the dreadnought's hull at speeds that would have shattered lesser ships that her sensors locked onto a shield generator the size of a skyscraper. This is Spear 1, she said into her comm, marking target. A volley of grav-blade torpedoes from the Thunderchild fleet struck the generator head-on. For a moment, the crimson shields flickered, and then collapsed in a rain of shattered energy. The Emperor's voice boomed over an open channel. You dare strip my ship's armor? Then you will feel my hand upon your world. But Kane was ready. All Thunderchild vessels now. From the edges of the battlefield, the hidden second wave of human warships decloaked. Their Nova lances lit the void, carving through crimson capital ships like they were paper. Arya's vigilant spear made a second run, this time straight toward the Emperor's command bridge. Imperial interceptors swarmed her, but her wingmates shielded her path, taking hits meant for her dot inside the bridge of the Hand of Eternity. Emperor Valkarion rose from his throne, his burning eyes fixed on the human fighter coming straight at him. For the first time in centuries, he felt something alien to him, uncertainty. The battle raged on, but the Crimson Fleet was faltering. One by one, their proud, ancient warships fell into the darkness. The Emperor's dreadnought was surrounded, its armor bleeding molten light. Kane's voice rang through the comms. This ends now. Asterisk the galaxy trembles. The Hand of Eternity drifted like a dying beast, its crimson armor scorched and peeling. Fires burned along its spine, spilling debris into the void. The Emperor's voice still echoed over the comms, but now it carried strain. You will never rule the stars. On the Resolute, Admiral Kane gave his final order. Board the dreadnought. The boarding strike was led by Thunderchild Marines, their drop pods slamming into the dreadnought's hull like thunderclaps. Lieutenant Arya Chun was among the first to breach, her boots hitting scorched metal as the air around her shimmered from residual heat. Inside, the corridors were a maze of smoke and twisted steel. Imperial guards, clad in crimson armor, fought with desperate fury. Every hallway was a battlefield, every corner another trap. But the humans pushed forward, step by step, until they reached the throne room. The great doors split open, and there he was, Emperor Valkarion, seated upon a throne carved from black starstone, his molten gold eyes burning with rage and disbelief. You think this is victory? The Emperor said, his voice deep as the void. Without me, the galaxy will fall into chaos. You need the Empire. Kane stepped forward, his boots echoing on the starstone floor. No, the galaxy needs freedom, and it needs to remember that no tyrant lasts forever. The Emperor rose, towering over Kane, his armor shimmering with ancient power. Then strike me down, human. Prove your kind is nothing more than another conqueror. Kane didn't draw his weapon. Instead, he turned to the holocan drones hovering. Above, across the galaxy, billions watched in silence. You wanted to see our answer, Kane said to the galaxy itself. Here it is Earth does not kneel, not to emperors, not to anyone. He stepped aside. Behind him, representatives from the newly freed worlds walked into the throne room, alien leaders who had suffered under the Empire's chains for centuries. Together, they placed the Emperor in binders forged from his own fleet's armor. The sight was broadcast across every system, and the galaxy trembled. On worlds light years apart, cheers erupted. Miners on Vikran threw down their tools to dance in the dust. The oceans of Talvin glowed with celebratory lights. Even on worlds still under Imperial control, People whispered a single word: freedom. Back on the Resolute, Captain Dax approached Kane. So, what now? Kane looked out at the stars, where wreckage from the battle drifted like a graveyard. Now, he said, we rebuild, and we make sure no one forgets the day the Empire demanded our surrender, and the day the galaxy learned why humanity laughs in the face of fear. In the years to come, the story became legend. Children on distant worlds would ask their parents about the sound of that laughter, and the answer was always the same. It was the sound of the day the galaxy changed forever.